Okay, so we're recording. We missed the beginning part. All we did was download GDevelop, start a project, and then mess with these game settings right here. I feel like you could actually figure that out just by messing around with it. So I'm not going to go back over it just after I start recording. Okay, so you can probably figure that one out. I would like to see if there's any chat, but Zoom sucks and I don't know how to use it. So here we go. Okay, cool. I'll keep that open. Okay, so that tab, I just accidentally closed it, but if you want to go back to it, you just click this little thing in the corner. That's our little tab there. We're going to create a new scene. Again, the scenes are like levels, right? Or sometimes like different screens. I'm going to rename this scene. I'm going to call it shoot scene because it's where we're going to shoot other ships. Super basic stuff. I'm going to edit real quick to see if there's anything to, okay. So this is our basic scene editor. It just looks kind of blank right now, right? But if I zoom out, I can see the bounds of the scene. Okay. So I need to put stuff on here, right? So before I even put stuff on here, I need to go get graphics. So let's go to itch.io, or make your graphics yourself if you're cool. But I'm not. So I'm gonna go to itch.io, assets, free, and I'm gonna search for space. Okay. And there's all kinds of space stuff that pops up immediately. I just want something that I can shoot at. So we're gonna go with this one right here because that looks simple. Space pixels. And I'm gonna download it. And I'm not gonna give them a donation because I actually already have on this particular one, but we'll go ahead and download space. No, not that one. The latest version. We'll download spaceships. And I will go and extract this. Okay. And inside of this folder that we just got, boom, a whole bunch of images, right? So, okay. So we got all these images. Okay. So that's kind of cool. Everybody following along so far? We're just downloading images. I mean, that's everybody good with that? Okay. So now we would add a new object. Over here on the right side of the scenes, we have objects. Objects are the things that do stuff in your game. So we're going to want to add a new object, right? And we probably want it to be, there's a few options here, sprite, tiled sprite, all this stuff. Sprites and text are the thing you most often deal with. Sprite just means something with an image, basically. And text means text, okay? We're going to go with a sprite because we're going to want to put a spaceship in there. And I'm going to call this player ship. I'm going to call it player ship. And okay, when you add a graphic in GDevelop, it's called an animation, even if your animation is one frame and there's no actual animation to it. So we're going to say add an animation to add the graphic of our ship. And it adds a little frame right here. And then we're going to click add on that. Now we got to find our ship graphic, which should be in downloads, space pixels, and I found a ship. So I got to decide which ship I want the player to be. I think I'm going to make the player a green ship. Okay, it's going to say, hey, these files aren't in your project folder. They're somewhere else. Do you want to move them to your project folder for like consistency? And yeah, we're going to do that. So I'm going to move the ship to our project folder and hit apply. I'm going to take this player ship and put it right here. And we're going to rotate it. Now, all of this is drag and drop editing. So I should show you again. You click on it, drag it over, click on it, rotate. Okay? Now we have a rotated ship. That's kind of cool, right? I don't quite like the angle it's coming out at though, and I can't get it exactly even. So what I could do is I could go over here and just type in an angle on the left. Now it's exactly 90 degrees. Okay. So that's over on the left once I've selected it. Okay? Any questions about how we placed that ship there? Anybody have any concerns yet? Okay. How do people use this nonsense? Hold on. Okay. Who else even, who else wanted to see this tutorial? Who do we have in here that's actually, okay. So I just want to know who I needed to be watching for questions from and who was just like, oh, I'm just in here. So it's all good. Okay. So that's great. We have a ship. If I hit play, it's going to ask me if it's okay to run it. If I hit play, we have a ship. It's not super interesting, right? So what's one thing that we need to do? We need to probably make that ship move, right? So if we go up here to where we have shoot scene and shoot scene events, let's go to events. And events is where we do all of our behavior and make things happen, okay? So we're going to add a new event, which is this thing up here, okay? And the events consist of a condition when they run, like something that causes them to run, and something that they do. So we're going to add a condition, and we're going to look up, you have conditions based on the objects, right? I can click player ship and look for conditions, or I can do other conditions. We're going to go to other conditions, keyboard, and key pressed, okay? And then we're going to look for up, and I'm going to choose that key. That means if I press the up arrow key, this will run if I press the up arrow key, okay? And I'm going to add an action, and I'm going to say player ship, add a force. Forces are how you move things, okay? I'm not going to move it on the x-axis because this is the up key, so I want to go up. I'm going to move it on the y-axis. Now, for those of you who don't have any experience with games, the y-axis is inverted from mathematical axes, okay? That means while mathematics, usually positive x is upwards, in games, positive x is downwards, okay? So if I wanted to move upwards, I need to give it a negative force in the y direction, okay? So I'm going to say negative, I don't know, pick a number, 200. If I don't like that speed, we'll change it, okay? And we'll hit OK. Now, at this point, if I save, which you can do by hitting Control S, or you can go to File, Save, and I press the run button, now I have a ship that I can move up until it falls off the screen, which isn't ideal, obviously. How can we keep it from falling off the screen? Well, we can add another condition. So I'm going to say add condition, and I'm going to say player ship, and I'm going to find somewhere in here there's player ship's position. So, oh, Y position. So we're going to say player ship, then Y position is greater than 0. Okay, so this should look similar to like what you've experienced with code, even if we're not actually coding. Okay, so we're checking a greater than. We're saying if the Y position of the ship is greater than 0, that's now part of our condition to go up. So now if I run it and I go up, I can't go past the top. Okay, so now we need to do a similar condition with down. It's going to be mostly the same. So we're going to look for conditions, keyboard, key pressed, down. And then we're going to look for probably another condition, right, based on the position. So conditions, player ship, and then we'll go find its Y position. Y is less than, what's the maximum size? Do you guys remember what the size of our game was? I think I picked 600, but I'm not sure. So you measure where the ship is at from the top left corner, which means that if we made it 600, the ship would still be able to kind of go off screen a little bit. It would just not go far off screen. So I actually want to make it a bit less than 600. So I'm going to say, just to try it out, 540, okay? If we make the lower limit 540, now let's try and go add our force, add a force, and it's 0, and then this one should be positive Y, because positive Y is down with games. We'll hit OK, and we'll try running it. And now we should be able to go up and stop, and we should be able to go down and stop. We go down a little farther than is ideal, but we can tweak that later, okay? Now, I don't know about you, but when I think space, I think it should be dark, right? Like, I mean, why do we have this white background? So let's go over to Project Manager, and we'll click on Shoot Scene, and I want to say Edit Scene Properties, okay? And in Scene Properties, I can change the background color by clicking this thing right here, and we're going to make it a black background so it looks more like space, okay? And then we can also change the title of the window, which I'll show you where that shows up. But yeah, let's do this. We change those settings. We hit play. Well, we save and hit play. this is where the title shows up. So if you want to change the thing in this window, you do that in those scene settings we were just in. And now we have a black background, so we have a more spacey theme, right? Okay. Well, that's cool. So, questions about this so far with messing with the events to make things move, that sort of thing? Remember, we can always help you as you go as well. So if you feel like you're just not sure if you can replicate what's already been done, we can always go back to it, okay? But what's important is understanding how these events work. We have conditions, and then we have stuff that happens, okay? So I'd like for my ship to shoot things, right? So the next thing I need to do is probably make a bullet of some kind, right? So I'm going to add a new object, sprite, and I'm going to call this player bullet. Add an animation, add, I guess we will just use the red laser, blue laser, green laser, I don't know. Let's do a green laser just for thematic consistency. Okay, so that's the player bullet. Now, I need to make a way to create player bullets. I don't want to just drag one on the screen because that doesn't make sense. We want it to happen when we press a button, right? So let's go to shoot scene and we'll add a new event. Condition, well, you should be used to this now. We go to the keyboard, except this time I don't want to do key pressed. I want to do key released. Because if I do key pressed, they can hold down the space bar and the bullets will just keep coming. I want them to have to press and release the key to create the bullets, right? So by doing key released, we can make sure they actually have to let go of the button. We're going to do space. So they release the space key, and what we need to do is add an action, player bullet, and you'll see that on player bullet object, we have create an object. But how do we choose where to position it? We want it to be at the position of the ship, right? Well, this is where we can use variables that these objects have, just like in code, okay? So we've all dealt with classes at this point, I think. I don't think anyone here is CS1, right? So we would say player ship, which is a class, dot, okay? And then it has something called X and something called Y. So those are methods, which means you put parentheses after them. So playership.x and playership.y. So we'll create the bullet at the same position as the player. Okay? That's what we'll do. Now, we need the bullet to do some things, though, right? We need to move. We need it to rotate, all that kind of stuff. So we will add a rotation. Since it's facing upwards, we want it to probably be 90 degrees rotated. So we'll add another action. We'll say player bullet. And then we'll say angle is equal to 90. Now we'll go add action, player bullet, add a force like we did earlier. Now it's an X force though, right? X-axis. So let's make it go at like, I don't know, 600 seems like a good crazy number. And Y is 0. Now, I didn't talk about it earlier, but there's a difference between an instant force and a permanent force. What do you think that is? If I make an instant force, it runs on just the frame where this condition's being met. So for instance, I only move it with a force of 200 on the frames where I have the up and down keys pressed with the ship. But the bullet, I want it to keep flying, right? I don't want it to hold down a button to make the bullet go forward. That's what a permanent force is. A permanent force means it sticks around and it's just going to keep going, okay? So we want to make our bullet have a horizontal force of 600 that is permanent. I'm going to save that, run, and we should have some bullets flying. Yeah, it's pretty cool. We didn't really limit how fast you can shoot right now, so if you try really hard, you know, you can, but you can always put timers and stuff to try and stop them from shooting too fast. Okay. Well, this is great. We can shoot bullets, but don't we need to shoot out something, right? So I guess the next step is let's get our bad guy, right? Let's go to the shoot scene, add a new object. This is getting pretty typical at this point, right? Add a new object, sprite. Okay, we'll name this one just bad. And we'll add a graphic. I guess we could go the stereotypical route and just make the red ship, right? It's always the red ship. Red ships are pretty evil. Okay, so let's add our red ship. And okay, let's rotate our red ship. This one should be rotated probably -90, right? Yeah, it looks like it's about -90, so I'll just correct that. Bad red ship, negative 90. Cool. Now I can show you the preview of this. Right now the red ship's not going to do anything though, obviously. We haven't done anything with it yet. We have our red ship, right? So let's go ahead and make it to where I can shoot the red ship and destroy it, okay? Add a new event, condition, player bullet, and then I'm going to find collision. There's going to be something in here called collision. Collision. And then it says, okay, what do you want the player bullet to collide with? I'm going to say bad, okay? This just says basically, do you want to count it as a collision if they haven't actually overlapped yet, but are just like barely touching? And I don't like doing that. So I'm going to say yes, ignore those sorts of collisions, okay? Now, we've got our condition of a collision between the bullet and the bad. So we'll say add an action, and I'm going to say bullet, and then I'm going to say delete. And I'm going to say add an action, and I'm going to say bad, and I'm going to say delete. So upon collision, they'll both be deleted. We should probably add an explosion as well, but we'll do that later. Okay, for now, they'll just vanish. Okay, so if I hit save, play, one of those should hit the thing, and yeah, boom, they're both gone. Not the most accurate collision, but we can work on that too. Okay. So there's a problem. Do I want just one bad guy? No, I'd like there to be more bad guys. I'd like them to come out at like a timed interval of some kind. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a new event, and I'm going to say other conditions, and then I'm going to find scene start. See, at the beginning of the scene, okay? And this just means things I want to happen when we first start, okay? When we first start, I want to create a timer. So my action is going to be other actions, timers and time, start or reset a scene timer. And we have to name the timer. So I'm going to name the timer bad guy timer because it's how often we're going to send out the bad guys, okay? We're going to have bad guy timer. And I reset that at the beginning. You can reorder these conditions if you want to by just kind of shuffling them around. Okay, but now I need to do something with that timer. So I have a timer going, but it's kind of like a stopwatch. It just keeps track of how much time has passed. It doesn't actually have like a limit, okay? So I need to go and do something based on that timer. So I'm going to add another event. This one's condition is going to be based on timers and time, value of a scene timer. And I'm going to say bad guy timer reaches 1 second. So anytime the bad guy timer reaches 1 second, we're going to activate this event. And what is this event going to be? It's going to be creating a bad ship. We're going to click on bad, and we're going to say create an object, and we're going to say X position, maybe, I guess, 1400 is, I think, what I made the maximum. Y position should be, I guess we'll just make it at the center for now, but we can improve that in a moment, okay? We do our X position and our Y position. We're going to want to rotate that ship, right? So we're going to say bad, and then we're going to go find its rotation. We're going to say bad angle is equal to -90. And that should be a ship rotated in the direction facing us. And then the last thing we'll do is we'll say bad, add a force, speed will be -150. 0 in the Y direction, and it's permanent, so that it will keep charging at us. Save, run. What do we have? We have more ships coming. Oh, that is way too many ships. That's not right at all. There's ships stacking on top of ships. No, no, no. Okay. We're making a few too many ships. And I already realized what it is. So our condition is if the timer is above 1 second, right? But I told you it's like a stopwatch. So once it's above 1 second, it's still above 1 second. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's still above 1 second. So we're spawning this thing every frame, which isn't ideal. So what we need to do is after we create the bad guy, we need to also reset the timer, okay? And we just do that by saying add action, other actions, timers, and start or reset a timer. Boom, done, save. Now it shouldn't do that. So we have our starting guy, and then we have the guys that we're making. Okay. Well, I'll quit shooting them. Hold on. I'll let you guys see them. So we got some bad guys coming out. Yeah, this is kind of lame. They're all coming out in the same spot, right? How can we fix that? Right, we need to give them a random position, okay? So in the Y, instead we're going to say random. And as I start to type random, you should see some options pop up. So I'm going to say random in range, and it wants some numbers. So I'm going to say anywhere between 0 and let's go 525. I just made that number up. There's no particular special thing about it. I'm just guessing at what might be good, okay? And a lot of making games is guessing and checking and just seeing how it goes. So let's save, and let's see if we get some scattered enemies. Okay. So now they're coming out in different locations. I'm still doing way too good against them. You probably put some sort of timer on the bullet, right? I'll leave that one to y'all. You've seen timers in action, so you can probably figure out how to put a timer on the bullet. We'd also probably want it to be that when they collide with us, that we die, right? That'd be okay. So now that we've got them generating, we can probably delete this one that already just starts off there. We don't need that. Okay. So let's add another collision event between us and the bad guys. We'll say player ship collision with bad. Okay. And then what I want to do is just restart the game if we get hit. Okay. So we'll say other actions, and then we'll say scene, and we'll say change the scene, but we're just going to change it back to the scene we're already in. I know that sounds weird, but that'll make it to where we restart. If you change into the scene that you're already in, it means restart, okay? So what that should do is that if I get hit by one of these guys, I'm going to let them hit me. We should restart, hopefully, unless I'm just wrong, which I could be. Hey! Okay. So, what's next? Okay, I was going to say keeping score. Does anyone want to keep score? Okay. So we need a score variable, first of all. So if we go to shoot scene, we should be able to, hold on. Actually, my bad. We go to properties up here. We go to scene, edit scene variables. Okay, add a scene variable. The variable we called score, and its starting value should be 0. Apply. And okay, we have a variable in there. We want some way to display the variable, right? Okay, so let's go find, let's make a new object, text. The color of the text will need to be white so it'll show in the background. Let's make it very big text. And we'll just say score, and we'll call this score text. Wow, very creative. Okay, and I'm gonna hit apply, and I'm gonna drag the score text right here. Now, that doesn't seem like very helpful right now because it doesn't have the right number or anything, right? So we need to make an event that makes it update the number, right? So what I'm going to do is every time an enemy gets destroyed, so up here with player, bullet, and collision, I'm going to say score text, modify the text, text is equal to, and then in here we need to use some sort of a value, right? Our variable from earlier. So we'll say scene. No, that's not it. We'll say variable. Yeah. So we'll say variable string. What is variable string? Variable string just means take a variable and turn it into a string. Okay. It's okay. So we'll say variable string, and then we'll need to give the name of our variable, which is a score, I believe is what we named it. Did we name it score with capital? Let's find out. Hold on, let me go check. Shoot scene, edit variables. Yeah, we named it score with a capital letter. Okay. So we changed the text to be variable string score. And maybe we can even throw something in front of it, like we can put the text score plus, and that'll say that we're combining the text score and then adding that variable to it. Okay. Now, if I run this, at first it just says score, and that's because we haven't updated it yet. If I hit, but as soon as I hit something, it should be the score. Now there's a problem though. Our score is 0. We need to update the score too, right? Okay. So in here, in the same thing where we change the text, we're going to want to say other, and we're going to say scene. No, not scene. We're going to say variables. My bad. Variables and value of a scene variable. And we're going to say variable score is add 1. Okay? And we want that to happen before we change the text. So I'm going to shuffle this around real quick, and we're going to put this before the text. Okay? Now run. And we have a score updating with our variable, right? Any questions about any of that? We did a lot there, so let me know if there's something confusing going on. No one? Nothing? Okay, so if y'all wanted to use this drag and drop engine for your story game, right? You could just make you could make an array of pages, or you could make each page a separate scene. It depends on how many pages you plan on having, right? As you go from page to page, you could have it be different scenes, and you could link them up that way, okay? So whatever works for you in that regard, okay? And what are y'all doing? You three. Still deciding? Okay, no problem. Anyone else in here have an idea for a game already they want to tell me about, and we can talk about how it would be applied here? Yes.
My concern is like shooting game. It's one of those in the same GDevelop, but it's the one that you turn on the matching game.
Oh, okay, like matching cards.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm doing my education game.
Okay.
First things first, I got 3D sprites, so that's what I'm doing in Photoshop.
Okay, cool. So what you'd probably want to do is just check whether or not
I was looking for some, but I don't know. I was like trying to look for even like some pictures that maybe I can like recolor half the picture, because I mean, okay, I have the 1/2 fraction.
okay.
Would be nice if I could just do more than this box.
Yeah.
Half of it a different color. So I was looking for some stuff, but I'm like, I don't know, just think. I'm gonna just do the numbers. I'm probably look for the pictures on the thing.
What are y'all doing right there?
We're actually on separate teams and way over, but our motion is looking on as other.
Okay. Oh, you can do that with this. Very similar to a lot of the stuff we've been doing, like throwing projectiles and stuff like that. That's all done the same way. Okay, that's cool. What about you? Oh, okay. Well, you're using Unity. Okay, that's using Unity. I see. That's cool. That's cool. Okay, so I guess what we would do from here is we would make explosions, right? And we would add sound and that sort of thing. I wonder if y'all can get started, and then I could help each group individually with those things. Yeah. Because yeah, I feel like we've covered enough to get everybody started. So animations are a little weird, but basically with animations, I'll go ahead and just tell you in advance. Animations usually have multiple images, and each one is a frame of the animation. And if you want to add animations, find the graphics for it with each frame, and then bring me over there, and I'll show you how to do animations where things actually look like they're changing instead of just being one solid object. Okay? Yep. Is this good to get everybody started?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, if there's anyone still on Zoom, ask your questions now.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
So I realized all of these, like I found some stuff that I can use as background, but all of these are this shape instead of a square.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That is really weird.
Right, like the middle background. I'm like, okay, you should some sort of like semblance of texture. But I'm like, it's weird, right?
Yeah, I can't hear anyone if anyone's talking in Zoom, so any questions in the chat? I'm probably about to, okay, I'm going to stop the recording.